Going on, everybody? What's going on? Quick trade recap. July 26th, 2026. Took two trades today. I just wanted to go over both of them and explain them so you guys can understand my thought process on opening the charts every morning, my execution, and why I take what I take. All right, just to give you guys a little bit of better understanding of what's going on in the market when you guys are still learning. Of course, you have to learn before you earn, right? It took me 5 years of learning before I started really earning. All right, so that's just part of the game. Like I said, I'm here to help you guys. All right. So this is why I do what I do. And we're going to dive right into this. Okay. So I took two short positions this morning. All right. The first one came in at about 10:04 in the morning. All right. And then the second one didn't come until after lunch at about 1 in the afternoon. All right. Or 1300 with what you'll see on TradingView, since TradingView is all 24-hour military time all day long. Okay. So we'll dive right into it really quick. Let's go to market open at 9:29. All right, so this is what I'm looking at right before market opens. All right, we get a nice delivery lower in pre-market. We do still have this open market gap right here. So what I did first is I marked out this market open gap from Sunday Asia session. All right. We gapped up. Obviously, it's not guaranteed that these gap ups will get filled right away, but inevitably they always do end up getting filled. So that's what I was targeting this morning. Okay, I was looking for a little bit more of a fill than I got. I'm not gonna lie, but it still delivered exactly how we wanted, exactly how we planned, and we executed phenomenally all day. All right. And I just want to explain everything to you guys really quick. All right. So right now, this is all pre-market and London session. All right. So what I did first is I marked out this open gap. Then I've marked out all these internal highs. Okay. So what an internal high is when you see a big move like this, all right, you get two things. You have an external high, which is the high that was created prior to the big move down. And then you have a bunch of these smaller highs in between, or what we call internal highs, right? So what I did is I marked out every single one of those that was relative to what I was looking for. And I was waiting to see if any of these got swept or tapped into prior to delivering lower or giving us a nice continuation model. Okay. So as you see, right before market open, we dumped about 7 points in a minute candle. All right. So if for those who are unknowledgeable, 7 points in a 1 minute candle is a pretty drastic move right before market open. This is right before a bunch of New York traders are hopping into the market to plug in their trade. So the fact that we saw this type of volatility right before market open shows something. And this is what I'm going to explain to you right now. Okay. This was hunting for a certain level prior to moving back up. Okay, so the market moves in liquidity sweeps, liquidity grabs. If there's no liquidity to grab, the market will not move, and you'll see a bunch of sideways motion just like this, or what we call barcoding price action, where price action just goes side to side for hours on end before it finally does make a move in order to sweep out some sort of liquidity. Okay, so this type of liquidity that was swept out in pre-market ended up being a support level from last week's session on Friday. All right, this was a New York high that was created right before lunch hour, and that was what was swept and tapped into prior to coming back up for market open. All right, so I'm going to explain to you guys exactly what I was looking at during market open. This is the 1 minute chart, so each candlestick is going to represent 1 minute. All right. So we're getting in here, we're tapping into this 1 minute fair value gap. All right. And we're rejecting lower, sweeping out the previous low that was created as market was opened at 9:30. Okay. So I'm still just looking. I'm not hopping into anything. I'm staying patient. I'm seeing what the market is giving me. All right. It looks like we're making a move back up. We finally fully fill and actually inverse the initial 1 minute bearish fair value gap at 9:29. So now I'm looking for some sort of sweep of these internal highs here and then a V-shaped recovery back to the downside in order to find my entry point. Okay. So we finally do get a sweep of these two internal highs, these three internal highs, and a nice V-shaped recovery back to the downside, showing us a nice continuation model. All right. We get a double sweep. All right. This is just extra confirmation that liquidity is getting grabbed, enough liquidity in order to make the move that we're looking to receive. All right. So now we start making our way back down. We're showing bearish confluences. All right. This internal low was just taken now, creating a lower low right at 9:56 in the morning. Okay. So I still have not entered anything, but this was the change in delivery that I wanted to see prior to hopping in something. So now it's just a matter of time of getting a slight retrace into one of these bearish fair value gaps that was created on the 1 minute, getting an execution entry and running it into my take profit level. Okay, so I'm still waiting. I'm still not in the trade. I'm getting a little frustrated because we still have yet to get a little bit of a pullback. This is all the 1 minute chart. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive bearish candles with no sort of pullback or retracement at all. So I'm still being very patient. Patience pays in the market. The market does not pay you on execution. The market pays you on patience. Okay. So we're going to wait for our exact model to show, and then we execute. All right. We do not force trades. That is gambling. We do not jump in trades because we fear on missing out. That is not trading. That is gambling. We don't gamble. If you wanted to gamble, you could take yourself to a casino, play some blackjack, play some roulette, play some baccarat, whatever pleases you, whatever suits your boat. I don't like to do so. I like to trade smart execution only. All right. So now we're finally seeing some sort of pullback on the 1 minute chart. We are filling into this 1 minute bearish fair value gap. All right. So moving along, we get a full fill and full rejection. That is my entry right there. That's all I needed to see. We did inverse this slight little 1 minute bearish fair value gap while we were coming up to fill the bullish fair value gap when we were coming up to fill this bearish fair value gap prior. And that's my execution right there. All right. I'm going to mark out this last low that we just created. That is my break even margin right there. All right. So what I mean by break even margin, once price comes back down to tap into this level, I'm actually going to move my stop loss from risking money to my break even or my entry point to mitigate all of my risk. So now the worst case scenario is if the trade does come back up and reverse, all I do is break even. I don't lose any money. I don't make any money. And we're on to the next one. All right. So that's the most important thing that I will continue to stress in this journey that we are all in together is as soon as you see a trade get green enough, put your stops at break even. Take your risk off the table and take your profit. All right. If you see $200 show up on your screen in 20 minutes, why not take it? Right? Because at your 9 to 5, when you really break it down, how long does it take you to make that same $200? How much effort does it take out of you, out of your physical health, out of your mental health? How long does it really take you? And you don't have to tell me, but be honest with yourself. All right. So now we're getting some chop. Once we enter, we get chopped. Okay. That's no problem because we are safe with our stop loss, risking about 4.5 points. So I'm not risking too much. I'm only risking what I'm willing to lose. I'm okay to lose this amount before I even enter the trade. All right. That's most important. Don't ever risk more than you're willing to lose because I promise you that's when you start getting into revenge trading. That's when you start moving off of emotions. And in order to become successful in what we do, you have to mitigate and remove all of your emotions and pretty much operate like a computer does, because that's our competition in these markets. We're working with and or against somebody's computer who's plugging in these trades automatically as soon as price gets tapped into certain levels and executes their trades for them. And now these trades are not retail traders. These are millions, if not billions of dollars getting dumped into the market at a single moment in order to move price in the direction that they want it to go. We are only here looking to catch and ride those moves. We do not want to trade against them. So that's why we don't predict market. We don't have a strict bias at the beginning of the day. We might feel, price wants to move up, price wants to move down, but we always take what the market gives. All right. We never want to marry our bias. We don't want to die on our hill. We want to take what the market gives us so we could get clean executions every single day, Monday through Friday, with no issues around us. All right. So as we're moving forward, still playing around with our entry point. All right. Almost get tapped out again, but we're still alive. Now we're finally seeing some type of delivery lower. All right. Finally, my break even gets tapped into at 10:28. Now I've been in this trade about 24 minutes before I'm finally able to go break even, trim some of my contract, and let the rest ride to full take profit, which I had marked out right here at the level of $4,067.20. All right. And why was that my target? Because this was a nice support level that was formed during New York session on Friday, right before market close. So you want to take all these support levels here and you want to mark them out as well. And you want to see what's more probable in getting taken or getting swept prior to any type of reversal or rejection. All right. So I did my due diligence. I mapped out all of these support levels, and I took what I thought was most probable to get tapped into prior to a reversal before lunch session. Okay. So now we're finally delivering lower. By the time it is 10:41, we finally get a full fill and we're able to close out our entire position. All right. That was my first trade of the day. Made about 10.7 points. It was very small, but that's all I'm looking for when we see a big move like this come during pre-market. I'm not looking for a 100-point move if the market's moving before New York Open, right? If New York Open is opening at an accumulation level, then I could expect some sort of high resistance liquidity sweep and then a very big delivery the opposite direction. We did not get that this morning. So I was not looking for anything too big. I wanted to get in and out of the market as quickly as humanly possible and mitigate any type of risk, any type of loss. So that's exactly what I did. All right. Went on with my day, hit the gym. I had chess yesterday. So we did back this morning. I'm letting price play out. I'm not looking at it. I'm not harping on it. I'm not wondering why I didn't execute another trade. I made my money for the day. I'm good. I don't need anything more. I close my laptop. I go on with my day. I enjoy some profits. I go get some lunch, whatever the case may be. Right. Then at about right after lunch hour, I'm seeing price develop, obviously, throughout the morning. I'm looking at it, but I'm not taking any entries. I'm not looking to execute anything more because I already made my money for the day. Once you make your money for the day, close your laptops, walk away, because if you don't, that's when you start thinking about over trading. That's when you start thinking about extra trades. When essentially, if you already made money, why do you need to get back into the market? This market does not reward execution, like I said. This market rewards patience, and 90% of your trading is going to be waiting for your setup to deliver and executing on your setup. If you do not see your setup executing, why would you take a trade? Right? That's not what we do. We don't gamble. Like I said, if you want to gamble, you can take yourself to the casino, go play some baccarat, go play some blackjack, whatever you like best, and you go gamble your money away. That's not what we're doing here, and that's not what I'm here to teach you. So I'm here to teach you guys smart money moves, smart trades, and smart execution. All right. So now we're in lunch hour. All right. Nobody trades lunch hour because everybody's at lunch. So the market doesn't really like to move too well. It doesn't move too fast, and you won't see any type of big move more times than not during lunch hour because again, everybody's out having lunch, everybody's taking a nice lunch break, and nobody's really working, right? So you want to wait till about after lunch hour, about 1 p.m. is when everybody will start coming back into the office, get back on their computers, and start looking for some afternoon executions to finish off their day and make some money for themselves, their clients, whatever the case may be. If you work for, a hedge funder, if you work on Wall Street, whatever. But that's who we are trying to trade with. We want to trade with the big guys. We want to trade with the pros. All right. We don't want to act amateur. We don't want to make silly mistakes. We want execution at delivery every single time. All right. But if we do not get the delivery or the setup that we're looking for, do not try and force your trade because I promise you, 9 times out of 10, it will go the opposite way and you will end up very upset with yourself because you knew better. You knew better. You have a set of rules, stick to them. Stop, don't break them for anything. It doesn't matter if it's your mom, your girlfriend, your sister, your friends, a birthday party, fancy dinner out. It doesn't matter what it is going on. You do not break your rules for any of it. All right. You wait for your quality setup and you execute on delivery. All right. So now we're getting into this is right 1 o'clock in the afternoon. All right. So now we're looking for some quality setups for the PM session. All right. We are inversing this 1 minute gap here. So what do? I mark it out and I wait for a nice retrace and rejection. All right. We do have a nice state of delivery here showing that price wants to continue low. All right. But what do I want to do? I want to see price confirm their move before their move. Right. So I'm not just hopping in right here. I want to see price tap back into this 1 minute inversion and reject out of it. All right. That rejection out of it is my confluence that price wants to deliver lower and continue lower for the rest of the day. All right. So we're going to go back a couple more candles. That's where we get our retracement out and our rejection. That is my execution. That is my entry point. And I'm marking out all of these internal lows on this last move up, right? So we have an external low, we have an external high, and now we have all these internal lows stacked up. So now again, we're not hoping for the best that price runs all the way down to that external low. Now that the external high was created, what do we want? We want the most probable moves. We want to collect the most probable moves, right? So what's the most probable that you'll see here? You'll see this initial one, this initial inversion right here after, this initial internal low here. You'll see another internal low right here. And another stack two right here, right? You have one here and another one here. All right. The last initial state of delivery is going to be this order block here, right? So what do? I map out this order block and I drag my box all the way over just to keep an eye on it. All right. At this point, I'm taking away the market open gap. I no longer need to focus on that. I already know where the bottom is and I know what needs to get filled left. All right. So now I'm in a trade. This is my break even point here. Once price taps into this level, I'm going to mitigate all my risk and actually take all my risk out of play. And we get it after just 3 minutes of being in this trade. All right. Much cleaner setup, much cleaner delivery after entry. And we ended up taking it for another, 12 points or so to add on to our initial 11 points from this morning. All right. We get slight pullback, but ended up delivering very well to full take profit, which was that order block. All right. That bottom of that order block was that initial point for the next reversal. And that's exactly what happened. Price began to move back up, giving us a V-shaped recovery and a nice bullish inversion to continue back higher. All right. So what do I see after that? I close my charts. I am happy with my execution. I'm happy for following my plan. Everything that I set in stone at the very beginning, my 5 rules, I don't break for anybody. I don't break for any scenario, any occasion, and I wait for my quality setups to form right in front of my face prior to executing on anything. Okay, so we went 2 for 2 on the day, and we are very happy. It's Monday, it's the 26th of July, and you couldn't ask for anything more on a Monday. All right, back to back winning trades, morning and afternoon session. You close your laptop, you close your charts, and you go on with the rest of your day. I was done with work by 1:11 in the afternoon. Now, if you ask me, that sounds like a pretty good life to me. I don't have to work for the next 8 hours of the day. I get to go on and enjoy my life. I get to go meet up with some friends, go get some lunch, whatever the case may be, whatever I feel floats my boat for that time frame. All right. So that was my full execution for this morning. All right. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave some comments. I'll leave my Instagram handle, my Twitter handle, everything in there for you guys. If you guys want to personal message me, if you guys want to direct message me, whatever the case may be, I'm here to help you guys. This is what I'm doing for you. All right. If I could make it this much easier for you guys to learn before you start earning, that's exactly what I'm planning on doing. And that's exactly what I'm going to continue doing for you guys. All right. So if you guys like what you see, like, subscribe, give me a shout out. I love you all. Until next time, peace.